Welcome to Roofing Road Trips, the podcast that takes you on a thrilling journey across the world of roofing. From fascinating interviews with roofing experts to on-the-road adventures, we'll uncover the stories, innovations, and challenges that shape the rooftops over our heads. So fasten your seatbelts and join us as we embark on this exciting roofing road trip.
Hello and welcome to another Roofing Road Trips from Roofers Coffee Shop. My name is Heidi Ellsworth, and today we're talking about one of the things that has gotten me so excited over the last couple of years. It is just such a great initiative, and that is the NRCA's Career Technical Education and specifically Skills USA. So we have the people who are making it happen every single day here on this podcast, on this Roofing Road Trip, so we can talk about it. And that is John Espenshade of NRCA and Rick D'Amato. Hello, gentlemen.
Howdy, Heidi.
Hey.
Okay, we've all been working together on this for quite a while, but I have to tell you, I'm kind of a newbie when it all comes into it. You two have really been making it happen. And Rick, I have to say, you were the one who brought it all together and really kind of brought it to the different associations, whether it was NRCA or Roofing Alliance. So let's start out with some introductions, and I want to kind of dive back into the history. But first of all, Rick, can you introduce yourself?
Sure, Heidi. Thanks. I appreciate you sponsoring this podcast, and glad you started us up today. I'm Rick D'Amato. I'm principal with D'Amato Enterprises in Houston, Georgia. And I'm semi-retired, but I'm a member. I remain a member of the National Roofing Contractors Association and the Roofing Alliance, which is the foundation of the NRCA.
Yeah, and has done so much for the industry, Rick. So when you say semi-retired, I think we all just kind of smile. You can't stay away.
I'm doing my best to actually be retired, but I'm calling it semi at this point.
I love it. And John, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, certainly. My name is John Espenshade, and I serve as the Director of Workforce Development for the National Roofing Contractors Association. And taking the ball that Rick actually made from pigskin and inflated and designed himself, and now we just kind of run with it. So happy to be here as always.
Oh, so many great things happening. So okay, let's start, Rick, with you. Let's go back and you were the one to really bring Skills USA. I know it started in Georgia, you working with the Georgia Roofing Contractors Association, and then just overall CTE initiatives to the NRCA and to the Roofing Alliance. Can you give us a little bit of the history?
To bring us up to this point, I actually retired the first time at the end of 2016 from 32 years in wholesale distribution of roofing and other building products. And one of the things I wanted to do was to try, in my retirement, was to try to leave the industry just a little bit better than I found it back in 1974. And the first thing I encountered was that meeting of CEFCA. It's the organization particularly keyed in on construction and construction trade schools in Georgia. And I went to their skills competition in Georgia in March of 2017. And that was when I learned about Skills USA. I learned about the actual existence of Skills USA and CEFCA. And I'm going to get this wrong. So CEFCA is now called Construction Ready. Here in Georgia, we have a very robust program with our trade schools in construction. And it was the Career and Educational Foundation of Georgia, CEFCA, that I went to their skills competition, and the Georgia Roofing Contractors Association was participating there as part of their expo, showing off, here's what we do in roofing. They had a very nice, robust display in their trade show, but really I was introduced to this whole concept of Skills USA, and I was doing a little reporting in the trade publications, as you know, Heidi, and I went to their Skills USA's media folks to learn what Skills USA was all about. And lo and behold, really, this all started not from anything I did, except to discover something that's been going on since 1965. The organization that started that led into become Skills USA actually goes back that far. And the thing that I did discover when I went to their national Skills USA back in 2017, and when it was in Louisville, Kentucky, there was every conceivable skilled trades represented at this Skills USA annual competition for skills between winners of state competitions. Folks who are learning how to cut hair, run CNC machines, welding, mining, machine operating, name it, it was represented there, every manner of construction except roofing. And the light bulb sort of went on that roofing has never been recognized as a specialty trade in career and technical education in this country. So it wasn't really, I didn't really start anything. I just discovered this huge gap, and I saw it as a real opportunity when it comes to workforce development as one of the levers we just never pulled in roofing as an industry. So that's sort of what got kicked off. Then in 2019, as you know, the Roofing Alliance, that foundation of NRCA, stepped up and funded our first industry partnership with Skills USA. And the NRCA has picked it up since then and has taken it 5 more levels up, and especially with bringing John on board to lead our workforce and career and technical education efforts for NRCA. So he's doing all the heavy lifting now. I just lit the match. That's all I really did.
Well, and I think everybody who's been involved, Rick, it has been shocked that roofing was never involved with Skills USA. And yeah. I'm just so happy that, you and all the professionals in Georgia were kind of like, hey, we need to be involved in this. Yeah.
Well, as you know, what's happening is our workforce, our really best, our highly skilled workforce, those 40s, 50s, 60s folks, that they're aging out, they're retiring, and the industry as a whole, and not to be critical, but we've really not done the job we needed to do of replacing them.
Right.
And so, and there's a lot of good things that happen, believe me, in training, the associations, the manufacturing companies, they're all engaged and involved. But as an industry as a whole, we haven't had a unified effort to replace those retiring, highly skilled workers, not just the 3 and 5 and 10-year-old people, but the ones that are 20, 30, 40-year folks. Which are very vital and very critical to what we do every day in productivity.
That's really it. And John, you see it every day. I mean, you are full-time in the CTE world, and the needs of the roofing industry. To Rick's point, it is the labor shortage and just getting this next generation excited about roofing. So what's happening right now? Kind of give us we've had the history. Now, what is the program with NRCA, and what are they doing? What are you doing every day, John, on the CTE front?
Oh, well, I mean, the weather's good, so I'm working on my golf swing and my tan. But after I get those two things just perfect, I guess, where we are now is we have this momentum in this space with Skills USA and with career and technical education for the first time. As Rick mentioned, it's a pretty glaring oversight in terms of what these organizations like Skills USA and like the Association for Career and Technical Education, what they are designed to do is to prepare students for skilled trade careers. And a big part of that is the construction industry. And every other aspect is really accounted for. So what my work is day to day these days is kind of overseeing and in some cases piggybacking on these state and regional and school by school relationships between the roofing industry and the career and technical education side of things.
Yeah. And you're bringing, Rick and I both sit on the committee for and NRCA for CTE, and you have brought together just such an impressive committee of roofing contractors and manufacturers, distributors, service providers from all over the country. Tell us a little bit about what they're doing to really help make this happen, and maybe what that looks like going into Skills USA at the end of June.
Sure. So apart from you two being on that committee and the way I see it being at least 1/30th of my boss, each of you, the that committee and the group of state technical chairs who are responsible for kind of quarterbacking the Skills USA relationships in their states. Whether it be manufacturers volunteering materials to be donated to schools and shipped to CTE schools around the country. NRCA, we make our track training for roof application careers curriculum completely free to any and all career and technical education students in the country that want it, including those who are in correctional education, known as justice impacted students. There's this tidal wave of momentum and excitement about the progress that is very visual for the first time. And, it's very much snowballing. It feels like on a week to week basis. And so it's a really exciting thing to be able to be a part of.
So let's talk a little bit about Skills USA 2024. You were, right before we started this podcast, you just made Rick and I's day telling us about the competitors, on what's happening. So can maybe give just a little bit of what's been happening in all these states, and how many states are competing, and what's going to happen at Skills USA in roofing this year?
So I'm always a little bit hesitant to give the number out because it's it's still in a state of potential fluctuation. But right now, it seems safe to bet that it's going to be 12 at least. It might be more, it might be a couple less. But I'd say if we're going to do, I already was in Vegas, and while I don't bet, I do like to calculate odds. I'd say the over/under on how many states would be 10.5 if we were laying odds in Vegas. Now, what is being done at the state level is, members of the State Technical Chair Committee and the CTE and Workforce Development Committee, there's a big middle part of that Venn diagram between those two groups. They are donating materials to have these state contests. They are sending their personnel in to train and give the hands-on training to the students to get them ready to compete in those regional and state contests. They are doing everything and paying for everything out of their own pocket to also send that state champion to compete in the national contest in Atlanta. It's a really, really heavy lift. And each and every one of these people are volunteering and saying, you know what, it doesn't matter how much it costs, because right now we're doing something that's never been done before in the state or in this country. And that is worth it. And there's no way we would get close to even the number 12 without the kind of support that everyone in those spaces are helping us with.
John, you know what? I've been in touch with a few contractors that are preparing students and helping in schools. I don't care if two of them show up. There's going to be some hard-fought competition. These people are serious.
No,
it's really fun to watch it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fun. When we get there, it's going to be fun to see.
Yeah. I mean,
so much happening. And it's, when you pick up the phone, there are two kinds of calls. There's the call that, holy crap, what do I do? Which I will not name names, but has happened more than 0 times this year. And then there's the call that comes after that, which is, this was the most incredible thing, one of the more incredible things I've gotten to be a part of since I started working in this industry. What a great job.
You know what? I can say this from the tail end of a career in roofing, and to the contractors, this is the kind of thing that can be your legacy. This is the kind of thing where you could put on just literally millions of squares of product, and you can satisfy thousands of customers. But you just do this one thing, and you have a real impact on not just this student or that student or this school or that school, but the entire industry. This is going to make a significant difference, life-changing difference for a lot of contractors as well as students.
Rick, I love that. I think that is so true, because when you really look at it, and for everyone out there, just so you understand, if you haven't been involved with Skills USA or written the articles that Rick has written or that we've written here on the coffee shop, this is really about every state. The contractors in those states are working with their local vocational schools to bring roofing, first of all, into the vocational schools, because a lot of schools do not probably majority of schools do not have any roofing. And then also bringing the free, as John already mentioned, the free track training from NRCA into that vocational school, prepping them, mentoring them. And then these kids go to state and then regional contests where they basically are able to work their way up to participate and compete at the national level, which is in Atlanta, Georgia, at the end of June. And so these contractors are a little competitive, Rick. I'm just like, just a little bit, man. And I love the fact that that's kind of starting to happen. Rick, last year when we had the 4 competitors competing, I saw the contractors there all also kind of talking back and forth, all their mentors. So talk just a little bit about that experience from last year.
Well, each of the competitors came from 4 different states, and they were there with their mentors, the contractors that had helped them through their schooling and through the process of training to go through this competition. And they were the contractors that were there were very much into it. It's fair to say they were again. They're very competitive. Roof contracting is a little bit of a competitive business, and this is no different. And they really wanted their students to succeed and be the one. And I don't think of the 4 of them. And the scoring was really close. Sean could talk more about that. But nobody was disappointed in the performance of those young people.
And when you think about it, we had 4 last year. You are tripling the number of states. And I know that number is a little soft, but we're tripling it this year to have 12 competitors that are going to really, that's going to be the talk, right? So not only do we have the competition area where the students or the young people are competing on commercial roofing. So this is going to be heat welding, PVC systems that they are competing on, following the track and the pro certification specifications for this competition. We're also going to have a very large 20 by 60 booth, which is the roofing pavilion, where all the roofing people are going to be. So, Rick, you've been working with John to put all this together. Can you give us kind of a little bit of insight what's going to be in the roofing pavilion?
It's going to be significantly bigger and better than we did last year, and we're already talking about 2025. So it's kind of a fun thing to put together a 20-foot by 70-foot exposition to show the thousands of students and their advisors, teachers, administrators, what we do in the roofing industry. And we're going to show off. John has come up with some just really great participation from the industry. We got a scaffolding company that's going to build a scaffold so we can have a live rooftop demonstration that the students can safely go up and down and try their hands at thermoplastic welding. There's going to be a display of steep roofing, which is going to be shown one day at a time: shingles, tile, metal. We're going to have drone operations. We're going to be showing on video displays estimating the way we do it online and through our commercial and residential estimating products. Of course, we'll have pens, which is a big deal at Skills USA. We'll have the National Roofing Contractors 2024 pen shown right. So it's a big deal in the Skills USA world. We're going to, for the first time, we're going to have repair and maintenance have a little part of the exhibit to talk about that as a very significant part of a career path for roofing, and particularly in commercial. We're going to have industry professionals behind each of these, ready to talk to the folks that are going to come around and see us. And that's, obviously our many sponsors that you can talk about later. But John, did I miss anything?
Well, you got the big ones. Do we have the augmented reality? That's coming in there from Roofing Technology Think Tank. We have, I think you mentioned the estimating activity and Eagle View's participation in that, and using that to check and trying to teach these kids what a square is. But yeah, I think if you mentioned those like 9 things, then yeah, I think you got all of it.
It's a lot. And National Women in Roofing will be there.
Absolutely.
And so, it's just for everyone listening, what this is thousands of, tens of thousands of young vocational students come to Skills USA to compete, not just in roofing, but in plumbing and electric and construction, cosmetology, culinary, you name it. I mean, I was blown away last year with all of the different trades that are there and how many students. So it's not only a chance for our competitors to compete and really show the world what roofing's all about, but it's also about this awesome booth space that John and Rick and the CTE committee and all of us have are putting together, and we'll be there working at it. And I just have to real quick, because I want to make sure that we also mentioned a lot of them, but we have people and organizations from the roofing industry who have sponsored this, who have stepped up and said, this is important and we want to sponsor it. And first off, we have to talk about the Roofing Alliance. The Roofing Alliance was the first donors a number of years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, when they helped NRCA get involved with Skills USA by funding that. And then this last year, they committed to $50,000 per year for the next 3 years. Rick, you and I are just blown away by that. It was such an exciting part.
It is, and it's a significant sponsorship. And truly, we wouldn't be on this podcast right now if it weren't for that very first contribution, that Kickstarter they gave us back in 2019. Yeah.
The Roofing Alliance, they just are always at the forefront, working with the industry, working with obviously with NRCA. But I'm going to just do a shout out real quick. As I go through this, of the sponsors who have stepped up this year, and that's ABC Supply, Atlas Roofing, Beacon, Eagle View, Georgia Pacific, IB Roof, Java, Johns Manville, National Roofing Partners, Roofing Corps of America, SRS, and TAMCO.
We have one more. We have one late addition. Tracy Donald's Service First Solutions is going to, he's sponsoring and bringing his expertise to talk about repair and maintenance technician as a career path.
And
I
there's
love it.
Also,
Tracy's awesome.
Sunbelt Rentals, who are helping us with the scaffold, because I can promise you that what we're going to be building for that roof climb activity is not something I could afford to do without them.
And we have to talk about the Georgia Roofing Contractors Association. They have from the very beginning, and they're there to help with the setup, with the tear down, and SRS is delivering, Beacon is delivering. I mean, I'm telling you, this is such an industry event. Everybody comes together.
Mid-South Roof Systems important. And some other contractors as well. Too many to mention, frankly.
Yeah. I mean, it is great. If people are interested in attending Skills USA, because after this podcast, everybody's probably going, I'm going to Georgia. I'm going to Atlanta at the end of June. John, can you kind of give just the details, when it is, how it works, how people can get involved?
Yeah, of course. So the dates that you would need to mark on your calendar are going to be the 25th of June through the 27th of June. The 2 days of the contest itself are going to be the 26th, and if we end up with more than 16, which I'm still holding out hope for. I mean, I'm glad that you guys are happy with 12, but I don't pretend to be the most apt mathematician, but I believe that there are 50 states in this country that have roofs, and I believe that 12 is fewer than 50 by at least like 6. I'm not sure. But the 26th and hopefully the 27th are going to be the 2 contest days. The days of the Texpo itself are going to be the 25th, the 26th, and the 27th at the Georgia Work Congress Center in Atlanta. If you are interested in attending, you have until the end of this month to reach out to me, Jay Espenshade at nrca.net, and request a pass. And then from there, I will see what I can do. I think at some point I'm going to run out of how many people I'm actually able to give passes to. But until I get to that point, it is really important for us to kind of share the good word about that. After you see it for the first time, it's different. You think about how we fit, how our industry fits into this career and technical education space with all these other trades that we are competing against for skilled labor. And when you're there for the first time, you are not going to think about it the same way again. And that's a really important thing to get out there.
Yeah, it's so great. So you have the times. If for some reason you don't get a hold of John, you don't get a pass, but you're in the Atlanta area, you can just buy a pass to come in. You can just get in. It's not that expensive, and it's well worth it to see everything that's going on. We will be there. All of us, all three of us will be there, plus a lot of other people. We're going to also be broadcasting live. Rick does a bunch of stuff out into the industry. We do a bunch of stuff out to the industry because we want everybody to see it. So, gentlemen, thank you so much.
Thanks, Heidi.
Oh, did we mention Georgia Pacific in our list of people who've given us help?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Georgia Pacific's doing some cover boards. I know.
Yeah, this is
It's so well. I have to say, it is such an honor for me to work with both of you and be on the CTE committee and really bring it together. So thank you both so much for everything you do, and thank you for letting me be a part of it. I love it. This is going to be great, and we'll see everybody at Skills USA. And I want to thank everybody for listening to this podcast. This is the kind of stuff that just makes a difference. It's heartwarming and it makes a difference to the industry. So please check out all of our podcasts under Roofing Road Trips under the RLW navigation of rooferscoffeeshop.com or on your favorite podcast channel. Be sure to subscribe and set your notifications so you don't miss a single episode. We'll be seeing you next time, and definitely at Skills USA on Roofing Road Trips.
If you've enjoyed the ride, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and join us on every roofing adventure. Make sure to visit rooferscoffeeshop.com to learn more. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next roofing road trip.